Thanks for tuning in, guys. This is Quintin
And Dylan
from Openrange Shooting Sports, and today we're going to be covering serrations, grinds, and finishes on knives. Hope you enjoy. We're going to go to the argument of serrations versus non-serrations. So right here we have the best of both worlds. This is an Emerson Commander with a partially serrated blade and then the plain edge blade. So partial serrations gives you the advantage of, well, let me step back a little bit. Serrations basically allow for the knife to slice or cut something better. Depending on the kind of serrations, they're either going to rip up stuff or they're going to slice. But again, it's basically increasing the cutting area of the blade. Also, if you happen to compromise your edge so it's less sharp, you can actually still use a serration since they go for a while without needing resharpening, and they'll still cut stuff. So again, this is the best of both worlds. If you want a good utility knife, this is something you can go for with a partial plain edge and then partial serrations. That way, again, if your plain edge goes down and you need to still cut stuff, you can still use those serrations there.
So let's say you don't want serrations, you're not going into a line of work that you actually will need those serrations. If you just want a standard, real nice precision like cutting ability, your standard plain edge here is going to give you that little bit more of a exact task to be able to do more finer work. So you're not really getting those serrations to be able to cut like cloth or anything like that as easily, because whenever the cloth is actually going through it, you're actually not able to rip and grab onto the cloth like you need to. It's just kind of sliding past like it's supposed to. So like I said, if you want to go to finer work, you're a lot better on this plain edged, but if you want something that's going to be cutting like rope, cloth like that, you are going to need something with a little bit more of a serrated part. Up next, Quintin's going to be talking about a full serration to kind of give you what it would look like if you had full serrations.
Alright, so let's say you want to be that guy that goes all the way. So if you get the full serrated blade, this adds a lot more capability to your knife. These are something you're going to typically find though in mainly rescue blades, because again, it's something that there's less probability of you slicing somebody open if you were trying to cut them out of a seatbelt, but you vastly increase the cutting area of your knife. So if you want to go that route, absolutely, it would be great. You'll be able to cut through a lot of things a lot easier, and your knife is going to be much more durable as far as edge retention, because there's not really much edge that needs to be maintained on serrations. Then there is also the option of going with something that has both full serrations and a full plain edge. This is more common with some of the Microtechs you'll see, but also this is a CRKT fixed blade with that option. If you wanted to have the full plain edge, absolutely, you get that. And then if you wanted to use the serrations there for like getting out of a seatbelt or just whatever harness cutting, that's something that you can have. In all honesty, for a tactical application or self-defense application, something like this, with full serrations on the rear and then a full plain edge on the front would be great for that purpose. Now, this is going to be one of your most popular grinds, a hollow grind. So basically, the knife is ground inward and then out. That's kind of the best representation we can find online. For that though, you are going to sacrifice a little bit in blade geometry because again it's going out, or excuse me, in and then out. So you're actually going to have more flex on the blade. That does mean though that it's going to be a very great slicer. So this is something that you're going to find in a lot of different utility blades or even food prep knives because they're great slicers. They don't last the longest because after you finish sharpening that outward edge and then you get in the actual recurve itself, or excuse me, the hollow grind itself, you kind of lose some of the original edge capacity. But again, it is your most common grind out there and it does do the job pretty well.
Alrighty, on the chisel grind, this is actually a really neat design. As you can kind of see, is the way this actually kind of comes up into like the spine area, it actually looks like a chisel. So you're actually just flat on this side, and the blade geometry actually comes up, where this right here would actually be your blade. So it's really easy as far as sharpening, because you only have to deal with this one side to sharpen. You don't have to like do like on a V grind or anything like that, where you have to do both sides in order to level it out. You only really do one, and then to finish it off, you really just kind of take one pass down the side here just to kind of get that burr off. These are really great as far as like tactical knives because they're really easy to sharpen in the field, and I feel like a lot of military personnel need to get them done pretty quick for what they need to do. But it's a really great design.
Alright, next up we have another very common one. This is a full flat grind. Full flat grinds are, in all honesty, one of the best investment for your money, that is, because it's something that as you sharpen the knife back, you're basically going to have about the same cutability as you would with what you traditionally got at factory. It's also great for utilitarian purposes because it gives you very strong blade geometry without compromising that much on the sliceability. So this is something that slices pretty well. It's something that lasts for a while too, and you don't really have to worry about entire portions of the blade shipping out. So again, it's literally, just depending on the angle of the grind, basically a triangle. If you look down at your knife like that, it's going to look like a triangle grind. But again, does everything pretty well.
Alright, after Quintin there, you took a full flat grind. This is actually just a standard flat grind. You're actually going to get a little bit more of a spine here, which is going to be great as far as strength, but you're still kind of getting that same edge geometry here, which is going to be great for actual cutting tasks and things like that. So it's a little bit better and stronger blade type just because you're actually getting that stronger spine, so it'll be able to last a lot longer as far as your other tasks.
Alright, next up we have probably one of the stronger as far as blade geometry grinds. This is a convex grind. So by convex, obviously it means that the blade is going to bow out a little bit. If you look at it like you would just down like that, it actually kind of looks like a bullet. This is something you'll find a lot more in tomahawks or axes or even some big machetes, because this is something where it's not necessarily going to slice very well, but it's something that's going to last for a while, because even when the edge does lose a little bit of its sharpness, this thing is still going to chop. So this is great for hard use knives, or even tomahawks, something that's going to be used a lot, and you're not going to have to, or you're not going to have the ability to resharpen it. This is something that's going to continue to chop, continue to slice, even after it's lost some of its edge. A little bit harder to resharpen though because of that.
Alright, so this leaves us with our double bevel, which is actually kind of a collaboration between the flat grind and the convex round that Quintin just went over. So you're actually getting the stronger spine, but instead of actually rounding it like on the convex, it actually comes down flat, so it actually gives you a little bit better geometry as far as cutability. You only have this small little piece right here to worry about as far as what is actually coming in contact, but eventually over time this is actually going to be a lot stronger and a lot better as far as cutability. So it's a really nice design. This is what I would most likely recommend as far as your everyday cutters or even military personnel, because you are getting a stronger knife that is actually going to have a lot better cutability and last a lot longer.
Alright guys, so as far as blade finishes, there are just a few, generally speaking, that we'll be looking at today. This one is going to be your polished or your mirror finish blade. Basically, when you highly polish a finish down to the point where you can barely even see the grind marks in it, you're decreasing the friction on it and also making it less porous. This basically means that it's going to be less prone to rust. Now, on the brighter side of that, it's brighter. So it looks cool. It's also pretty flashy, so if you're into that kind of stuff where you whip out a knife and it catches the glint in everybody's eye, this is the thing to look for. Mirror or high polished finished blade.
Alrighty, so after Quintin was talking about a polished grind, we have just a normal satin kind of finish here. It's not ground down as much. It still gets you that kind of shinier kind of finish, but it's not as polished as the others, so it kind of just gives you that nice kind of satin look. It's really nifty, and it's really popular in most knives. People that kind of want that standard knife blade look that just kind of glimmers in the light.
So next up, we're going to look at stonewash finishes. So on the first time you look at them, stonewash kind of looks the same as satin, but it's actually a little bit different. If you look close enough, you'll actually see the little scratches in the blade. Stonewashing is the process of basically tumbling the steel in a solution of pebbles and chemicals to basically give it a scratched up look. Now, believe it or not, corrosion resistance is actually pretty decent with this, and the scratches are much more apparent in the blackwash blade. Blackwash is basically the same thing as stonewash, except that the finish itself is acid etched as opposed to just a chemical solution with a typical stonewash. So blackwash, stonewash, they both look pretty sweet. Corrosion resistance is great, and then also the cool thing about blackwash and stonewash is if you happen to get a scratch on the finish of the blade, no big deal because it just looks like an extra part of the finish. So this is something that's going to be durable as well. Not that costly either. Matter of fact, you can do it at home if you want.
Alright, so I actually covered stonewash, we're looking at bead blast. Now it's basically the same exact process that they're going to be using for stonewash, but instead of using actual larger stones, you're going to be using more like a sand to actually do the exact same thing to the steel. Now you're going to be able to have a non-reflective coating to it that kind of gives it that kind of dull look. But that's all just kind of part of it. It does kind of open up the steel as far as how porous it is, so maybe a little bit more susceptible to rust. But you are getting a kind of dull, non-reflective coat to it, even though I'm reflecting it a lot to the screen right now.
Alright guys, so the last kind of finish we'll be covering today is basically coatings. Different coatings you can get on the blade. This includes Duracoat, Cerakote, DLC, titanium nitride. There's a lot of them out there. Freaking spray paint if you needed to. But you typically get pretty excellent corrosion resistance out of different coatings you can get, especially Cerakoting, like what this Benchmade Contigo is wearing right now. So excellent corrosion resistance. Also, you have the opportunity of selecting different colors too, like flat dark earth, black, pink, whatever you want. So definitely an interesting option to look at next time you're looking at a new knife is what kind of finish does it have? Is it a coated finish? Because again, you're going to get pretty excellent corrosion resistance typically out of some kind of coating on your blade. Thanks again for watching, guys. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. And next time we're going to be covering actions, locks, and fixed bladed options. Have a good time.